Video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have a lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. And during this video we're going to discuss the situation in the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. According to information we have, the United States of America managed to evacuate their base without losses. Also, we're going to talk about the situation between Israel and the Iran, and according to information we have, the Iranians rejected the ultimatum that was issued by the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump. Furthermore, we're going to talk about Putin. During the previous 12 hours, he made lots of very interesting statements about the situation in Ukraine, about the situation with Zelensky and his legitimacy. Also, he talked a lot about Iran, about Israel, and about the relations with the United States of America. And of course, during this video, we're going to discuss the situation along the line of combat conduct in the area of the special military operation. According to information we have, the Russians during the previous 12 hours managed to improve their positions significantly at some directions. So let's start from the beginning, and first let's talk about the Middle East, and we're going to discuss the situation in the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. According to information we have, the United States of America evacuated their bases. Basically, they have left them, they have left their ports, and according to information we have, they managed to save their ships, their personnel, their equipment, radars, air defense systems. We have several satellite pictures where we can see that currently most likely former US bases are completely emptied. For example, in this photo we can see the largest US air base in the Middle East that has been deserted in anticipation of Iranian strikes. I would like to remind you that currently the situation remains tense between the United States of America and Iran, and obviously if something happens between these two states, the Iranians would attack these bases at the first target, and obviously these two bases would be destroyed during the first hours of possible clashes. So once again, the Americans managed to evacuate their fleet. They continue their build-up process to the south of Iran. They managed to bring additional forces, lots of air carriers, lots of aircrafts, lots of tankers, lots of aircrafts. Everything was deployed, almost everything was deployed in this area, and most likely, and according to different experts, the United States of America are going to join the Israeli special operation during this upcoming weekend. At the same time, we got a report that Iran closes Strait of Hormuz for 100 days. This is not an official statement from the Iranian authorities. This is a call to the authorities from the former Minister of Economy. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation between Israel and Iran. I would like to remind you that during the previous 12 hours, the President of the United States of America issued an ultimatum to the Iranians. He wanted the Iranians to surrender. He wanted unconditional surrender or unconditional capitulation. We're not looking for ceasefire. We're looking for total, complete victory. Again, you know what the victory is. No nuclear weapon. That was stated by the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump. But the problem is that the Iranians rejected this issued ultimatum. A senior Iranian official tells us that Iran politely rejected the proposal from Trump to shut down all enrichment facilities and participate in a meeting with Witkoff and Vance. Furthermore, we got several statements that were made by the leader of Iran, Khamenei. More statements by him. The US should know that Iran never surrenders. Any American military attack will lead to serious and irreparable consequences. During the previous 12 hours, the Israelis continue bombing and attacking the territory of Iran. We have a lot of proofs, a lot of photos, lots of videos of how the Israelis were attacking the territory of Iran, mainly the military facilities, nuclear facilities, just facilities that the Iranians used to produce drones or probably some weapons or parts for missiles. Lots of explosions. We see that the Israelis are not reducing their pressure. Lots of videos and lots of explosions from their side. At the same time, we got reports that the Iranians launched their own missile attack on the territory of Israel. There were several waves of attack, and for example, this is the photo of the first wave of attack that took place in the evening of the 18th of June of 2025. And according to Iranian media, the latest strike might have involved a next generation ballistic missile. And here we can see the road, the sign of this missile. It was flying in the direction of the territory of Israel, but we haven't received any report whether this missile managed to get the target. Some sources reported that that missile was brought down by the Israelis and their air defense. Some sources are saying that the Iranians destroyed the missile themselves with the purpose not to allow the Israelis to get the missile in their hands. Iran announced the launch of heavy two-stage long-range missile Sajil in the direction of Israel. The speed of entry into the atmosphere is about 12-14 Mach, about 4.3 thousand kilometers. During the previous 12 hours and 24 hours, the Iranians attacked the territory of Israel, and we have lots of videos from this area. Mainly the Iranians who are attacking the central part of Israel, the city of Tel Aviv. We have lots of videos of the work of the Israeli air defense, their dome, Iron Dome. They were trying to bring down the Iranians' missiles. Lots of missiles, of course, were destroyed, but several missiles of Iran managed to get the target. And we have, for example, this video where we can see the consequences of another attack. One building, high floor building, as you can see, was damaged heavily and almost destroyed. Anyway, another important statement about the situation between Iran and Israel was made by the president of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin. Let's discuss this in details. Iran is not asking Russia for military assistance, Putin said. He also said that Moscow had previously offered Tehran to work on air defense systems, but the partners did not show much interest. This is a very important statement because if Iran is not asking Russia for military assistance, it doesn't mean that they're not going to ask this in the future. And most likely, according to this statement of Russia, Putin is ready to probably some assistance to provide some military assistance, which is obviously going to ruin relations between Russia, Israel, and the United States of America. Another and probably the most important statement made by the president of the Russian Federation: there are many underground facilities in Iran. Most have not been affected at all. So you know that we are talking a lot about nuclear facilities of Iran that were under very heavy fire from the Israeli side. We were talking about facilities, for example, in the vicinity of the city of Qom. We were talking about many other nuclear power plants, about attempts from the Israelis to attack them, to destroy them, and about their probably complete impossibility to destroy it because they're located very deep below the surface, about US GBU 43 bombs that can do this. And so we were talking a lot about this, and we were waiting when this moment is going to happen, when the Israelis will be able to destroy this energy, this enrichment plant. But today Putin told that this is not the only plant, this is not the only underground facility in Iran. There are probably hundreds of them or even thousands of them, and most have not been affected at all. So as we can see, according to Putin, there are still lots of job to do for the Israelis and for the United States of America. Now let's discuss a few more statements that were made by the president of the Russian Federation, this time about Ukraine. So key statements by Vladimir Putin made at a meeting with the heads of global news agencies. Putin is ready to meet with Zelensky at the final stage of settlement, but there is a question of who will sign the documents on behalf of Kyiv, given the illegitimacy of the current regime. Russian and Ukrainian negotiation teams remain in contact. Medinsky spoke today with his counterparts from Kyiv, and the next round of talks after June 22 is being discussed. Situation for Kyiv will worsen, that was stated by Putin. We have given away more than 6,000 bodies of servicemen. In return, we received 57. We are ready to give away more than 3,000 bodies of soldiers of the armed forces of Ukraine, additional 3,000 bodies. The Donetsk and Lugansk republics had the right to secede from Ukraine, and after the Kosovo precedent, we under the no obligation to seek Kyiv's approval. Trump is ready when he says that the conflict is Trump is right when he says that the conflict in Ukraine might not have happened under his leadership. On the possibility of Germany mediating in the Ukrainian settlement, a mediator must be neutral. The possible delivery of Taurus to Ukraine will not affect the costs of the special military operation, but will spoil the relations between Germany and Russia completely. Russian forces hold a strategic advantage on all fronts in the special military operation zone. Russia wants to end the conflict in Ukraine as soon as possible, preferably through peaceful means. A solution that ensures the interests of both Iran and Israel can be found. Claims about Russia's plan to attack NATO are lies and nonsense. So lots of very important statements, especially about Zelensky legitimacy. So Putin says that he can meet with Zelensky, he can discuss with Zelensky everything he wants, including the situation in Ukraine, probably in the world. But the most important question for Putin, who is going to sign the final document. And I would like to remind you that just yesterday we discussed very important law that was adopted by the Parliament of Ukraine. We are talking about possibility of Ukrainians and Ukrainian authorities regarding the citizenship of their population. The Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine has approved a bill that allows those who fight on the side of Russia or who have received a Russian passport to be stripped out of their citizenship. I would like to remind you that the population of Ukraine before the special military operation were at the level of 54 millions. Currently on the territory of Ukraine we can find maybe 30 millions or something like this. Millions of people quits Ukraine in the direction of Moscow or the territories that are under complete Russian control. So that is why Zelensky right now wants to strip these people out of Ukrainian citizenship. This will allow him to get the best results in possible president and parliament elections. So this is the very interesting situation. As we discussed yesterday, Ukraine is preparing itself before the beginning of this presidential election campaign. Anyway, let's wait and see, but we believe that Russia will not accept this situation. They will force Kiev to count probably voices of Ukrainians who are living on the territory of the Russian Federation or on the territories of Ukraine that are under complete Russian control. We're talking about the Donetsk, Lugansk, Zaporozhye, Crimea, and Kherson regions. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation on the ground. During the previous 12 hours, we got lots of very interesting updates. The Russians managed to improve their positions significantly. And first, let's talk about the area around the settlement of Konstantinovka. During the previous 24 hours, the Russians continued their offensive operation and they managed to improve their positions significantly. According to several mappers, the Russians secured the village of Stupochki itself completely. This is a key settlement on the way towards the settlement of Konstantinovka. I would like to remind you that the Russians, we are talking about the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, several weeks ago confirmed complete control over the settlement, and based on that report we adjusted the map in Russian favor, but just today this information was confirmed both by neutral mappers and by pro-Russian resources. We're talking about several videos were published from this area. Another important update is coming from the area along the Seversky Donetsk-Donbass Canal. Another day and another progress on the ground from the Russian side. During the previous 12 hours, as you can see, we have adjusted the map once again in Russian favor. I would like to remind you that Russian major offensive in this area started around the 14th or 15th of June of 2025. For example, this is the situation by the end of the 15th of June. This is approximately the moment when the Russians began offensive. By the end of the 16th of June, the Russians secured positions along Seversky Donetsk-Donbass Canal. Later, another day, the Russians improved their positions in the vicinity of the southern Delivka. Basically, as you can see, according to this configuration, the Russians outflanked the southern part of the southern Delivka. Furthermore, by the end of the 18th of June, the Russians managed to secure this village completely, and several sources reported that the Russians began advancing in the direction of Belagora. And by the beginning of the 19th of June of 2025, we got reports that the Russians managed to secure the southeastern pocket completely by taking under control this dense network of the fortifications. Furthermore, according to this geolocation that was provided by the Ukrainian sources, the Russians managed to secure the central part of the village of the northern Delivka as well. So the Russians, as we can see, finished the battle, finished their first stage of this major offensive, and the first stage was to take under complete control everything that is located along this line. We're talking about this entire pocket. The Russians managed to cut this pocket completely, and now the Russians are about to begin the next, let's say, stage of this offensive operation. And the next stage of offensive operation in this area is to answer and to secure the territory of the villages of Belaya Gora and Alexandra Shultina. The Russians continue offensive, as we can see.
Drømmer du om bølgeskvulp? Sand mellem tæerne og nul bekymringer. Et sted, der giver dig
When talking about the Kliban-Byksky pocket during the previous 24 hours, as you can see, the Russians managed to improve their position significantly, and we have colored this territory finally in Russian favor. So this is the situation between the dates. So we have changed this territory color in Russian favor based on the video that was published by the Ukrainian sources. In this video, we can see how Russians, using their total tanks, armored vehicles, tanks, and infantry fighting vehicles, were attacking the settlement of Alexandra Shultine from the south. We see that the Ukrainians were trying to stop Russian vehicles with FPV drones. Several vehicles were damaged, several vehicles were destroyed, but this situation didn't stop the Russians. They managed to answer the village itself, and the most important, the Russians managed to land infantry and to take under complete control several buildings and constructions in the southern part. So this episode was geolocated, and this Russian vehicle managed to get exactly this point in the Russian secured territory around. So based on this video, we came to conclusion that the Russians are already on the territory of the village and they secured everything to the south. And now we can say that the Russians, as a result of this offensive operation, managed to establish operational encirclement of the armored forces of Ukraine who are currently located in this area. These forces of the armored forces of Ukraine currently are completely cut from the northeast. The Russians secured this territory with FPV drones and managed to shorten the distance to the Kliban-Byksky water reservoir. And now we have proofs that the Russians managed to do the same. From the northwestern direction, they managed to shorten the distance to the N20 road as well, and currently the Ukrainians who are currently located to the south of the Kliban-Byksky water reservoir have no chances for evacuation, safe rotation, and safe supply and support. So we enter the final phase of the battle for the Kliban-Byksky foothold, and most likely the Russians will be able to finish this battle in the very near future, and most likely the Ukrainians will start evacuation in the very near future. Probably they will start doing this today. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the South Donetsk direction. The Russians, according to information we have, continued tightening the news around Ukraine positions in this pocket. During the previous hours, we got several videos that confirm Russian control over this territory. This video that was published by the Ukrainian sources, we can see how Ukrainians were attacking Russians in these fields, and based on this video, we have adjusted the map in Russian favor. So the Russians are trying to get as close as possible to the main evacuation roads. And exactly in this video, we can see how Russians were trying to improve their positions by taking additional territories under complete control, but the Ukrainians managed to stop them, Ukrainians of 35th Marine Brigade. At the same time, the Ukrainians continue their own evacuation process, and here we can see another attack carried out by the Russians on the positions of the armored forces of Ukraine. In this video, we can see how Ukrainians were trying to escape this cauldron, but the Russians managed to get their vehicle and to destroy it with FPV drone. So most likely during the next several days, the pocket would be cut by the Russians completely. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world.